Hello? Hello? All right, so I'm Tomamichel. I'm the owner of Corporate, and like you said, every Saturday morning I feel like I get more questions about what came out today, what shoes came out, and every Saturday, another Jordan, another Adidas, whatever it is. But that isn't me. That's not what I want to be known for. You know, I started this out, 10 years ago. I was at Foot Action in Tri-County Mall. I was working part-time. I was going to school. I was picking up other part-time jobs in retail, and I was just starting to figure out that this was what I wanted to do, that I hated the people of corporate. I hated when they came into my job. I hated when they told me what I was doing wrong. They wanted me to hit these projections that weren't even possible. Man, nobody wants to buy insoles, shoe care, laces. It was all about just trying to get the shoes, right? That's all it was about. Success, right? So I'm working these jobs and everybody's telling me, you need to go to school too. You got to figure this out. I'm like, school? School isn't for me. Like, that's not what I want to do. That's not the way that I want to learn. I wanted to be in the store every single day. I was skipping college classes just to be at the store. And here I am at the stores, and all my friends are just going their directions. And I'm just like, wow, this is becoming what I want to do. This is it. So one day, it finally hit me that I needed to slow down, that I needed to figure out the next step. And I had a great friend of mine. He pulled up in the mall. We were standing there talking, and he just looked me straight in my eyes, and he told me that day that this isn't for you. You can't work for somebody like this. You can't skip these classes. You've got to figure it out. And this is one of my best friends growing up. He's looking me dead in the eyes, and he's like, no, listen. And me, I just look at him like, I'm sorry, man. Let's get up later. You don't even know what today is, he told me. He's like, today's my birthday. That just lets you know how caught up I was in trying to be at the shoe store. I felt terrible. And that night, I tried to call him after my night class. He didn't pick up. That night, he got killed on the 1700 block of Vine Street. And it just sent chills down my spine because it was like, right then and there, I knew I had to figure this out. That no day is promised, not even to a young guy. I mean, I was in my second year of college. I wasn't supposed to be thinking about getting killed or even my friends getting killed. So again, this is a time I'm all in the shoes. There was this message board called Nike Talk, and a guy reaches out to me on there, bragging about a new store that he had created. He had just remodeled, and it was up in Minnesota. Well, I'm calling his bluff because I never heard of the store. I'm like, Minnesota? Like, it's cold, right? That's all it's known for. There it was. It was a Friday. I take my check. It was like $181. The flight was like $176. So I fly up there, and I walk into this store. It was called Status. I couldn't believe it. Like, he wasn't lying. He wasn't lying to me over the phone and telling me that he had all these accounts and, you know, he just needed help now because he was actually a bank manager that had wanted to jump into retail. He knew numbers, but he didn't know product. And that's where, you know, that was my forte. I knew product. I knew what was going to be next. That was what I loved. So for a year and a half, well, let's just say for the first 6 months, I'm working at his store every single day. He couldn't pay me. So I'm still working at Foot Locker in the Mall of America. I'm there every day. I'm just, you know, just going through the rotations. I want to learn every single thing that we had going on with the company. Finally, after 6 months, he's like, we're going to open a second store. That's going to be in Columbus, Ohio. Now, if anything, I'm like, okay, Columbus, Ohio, Minnesota, I don't really see that connection, but hey, you know better than me. So again, some things changed with his direction, and he sends me to a store. The floor wasn't even done in that store. That's why you're not going to see a picture of that. You're not going to see the struggle that we had going on there. And for a year, I ran this store into the ground. we were putting up $100 a day. We were in the South Campus Gateway up at OSU, the college campus, the Ohio State University, where everybody should have money, right? And the recession had hit us so hard that he gives me a call, hey, I'm actually gonna close that store. I can't keep going, it'll sink the whole business. Now here I am, let's see, 2 years out of school, I didn't have anything going on, I was just trying to figure it out, and I'm stuck. I jumped out the window for this guy, and I was ready to jump out the window. I didn't know anything else. Was I gonna go back to school and tell all the friends that I had, I messed up, my bad, try to catch up? Nah, I couldn't do that either. So I remember I sat on my couch, and I just started praying, and tears are flowing down my face, and I fall asleep. The next morning, I remember I had a conversation with my mom. I was like, I gotta do it. I was like, I gotta open my shop. Everybody else is doing it. We had a family meeting. My mom said, just try, because right now everybody's losing money. Everybody. The recession hit, and people were losing their stocks, their bonds, whatever it was. But I was just like, okay, now or never. Let's try it. I was 21 when I had the conversation. We opened the store after my 22nd birthday, and here I was. I didn't care. If I failed, I failed. That's all. I was 22. I didn't care. So corporate, again, I named it after the people that I didn't like as much. That was the young, immature Matt, right? I had to do that. So I opened this store, and man, look at that wood shining. Like, my stepdad and my dad, we were all in there every night putting that floor down. And I just remember like, man, what have I got myself into? On the back wall, you'll notice it says, would you believe in what you believe in if nobody else believed in it? Every single day I walked in there, I read that. Because I was like, no matter what happened, no matter who came in and didn't like the shop, I didn't care because I still had that vision. And it's funny because the people around me started to catch the vision too. I started getting help from my friends. They would volunteer, they would hang out with me. It was just me and the mailman and the UPS guy most of the time, honestly. Shout out to Mr. Steve. He's a great guy. Hey, that's what happened. You remember they were talking about going up? Well, I was just going down. And I just kept going down. I was just trying to figure this thing out. And I had things come up in my lives that definitely took me away from where I wanted to be. And I actually started a debate, should I quit? And I used to describe this as a Hey Arnold moment with the light flickering and the character finally having this idea that went off in his head. So I'm down in Hyde Park, I was eating, I came out, and I saw the space light up. And I was like, man, I can't afford this. But then I was like, maybe I can, because I know that people in Springdale are definitely getting a lot of my money for rent. And I called a lady. The lady, she answers. I'm like, hello, I'd like to just inquire about this space I saw on Hyde Park Square. And she instantly recognized that I was not white. And she asked me, she just flat out asked me, you're not white, are you? And I was like, no. Is that a problem? And she was like, this is exactly what I want. I want you to bring diversity to Hyde Park. I want you to be here. I think it's time. She told me from day one that this was a vision that she had herself, that I was supposed to be there. She asked me what we could afford. And I couldn't believe it. I jumped out the window again. I was ready. You jump out a window, there's always something that holds you back, right? I call up my vendors, and there was a big issue. Nike did not want me to move down here. There was another store that had just opened up, Devereaux's had just opened up in the Hyde Park Plaza, and they wanted to give them the territory. Well, here I was again, like, well, I already done signed the lease. I already done started looking at the things that we were going in here. I had to call their bluff. And by the grace of God, again, he was there with me. He allowed it. The lady, Stephanie Smith, You know, we butted heads at the beginning, but something changed her mind, and next thing I knew, she approved us, and business continued. So after 3 years, we moved down to Hyde Park Square. Things were going pretty well. It was like the lights had turned on to my business. We were getting the customers that I wanted. The people were growing. The culture was growing around us. And then again, it just hit me. It was everybody buying into my vision. And the thing about that is you have to keep going, right? You have to keep pushing on. You have to keep giving somebody something new to look forward to. So again, I run the numbers with my mom. We're like, what you think? You think we could do this? You think we should step out again on faith? What should I do? And I approach Chase Bank and I tell them my story. I remember I met Josh at the Mount Lookout branch, and I just told him, like, man, I want to be the best. That's all I want to be. I just want this thing to keep growing. I got this guy coming in. I want this guy to come in. I want to become something better. But I didn't say I wanted it for myself. I said I wanted it for my city. I wanted it for the people that had supported me for so long. And next thing I knew, a couple months went by. I'm sitting at dinner with my girlfriend at the time, and my phone rings. I look at it, I'm like, oh man, this can't be good. He calling after hours. So he calls, he's like, hey Matt, I got good news, but it's not the news that you're thinking. I'm like, what does that mean? That sounds odd. But I want you to be great. Wait, hold up. You give me more money, a better rate, and you trying to hit me with my own line about you want me to be great? You can't do all three at the same time, but I just remember I hung up the phone like, hey man, thank you so much, but let me finish this dinner. And I finished the dinner, and I called my pastor. I told him, dude, all that stuff about abundantly, can you run through that one more time? I don't think I caught that. And he explains it, I'm like, well, this just happened. And then we go on. We built out the space exactly how I wanted. And it just created so many opportunities for us, just right off the bat. Brands believed in me from then on. We had Mitchell and Ness last Major League All-Star last summer. We had them come in and do a shop build out with Barry Larkin. So I had him not one time, but 2 times. Because then we had New Era who believed in us, and they built out a space down on Main Street. And all these things were happening, and I'm just like, wow. Like, I started listening to God, and I'm like, maybe I need to do this more often. So I have a conversation with my sister, and she just tells me, like, I've been praying for you. I've been praying for you. This is exactly you falling into place where you're supposed to be. And I couldn't believe it, because then, okay, this is happening to the shop, but what's happening to me? And what happened to me that year was just, I still can't even explain it in its entirety. Because now it's got me thinking about what's bigger than sneakers. You know, I didn't set out to be just the owner of a shop. What's bigger? I started thinking bigger. You know, is it community outreach? Is it spreading your testimony? Is it telling the next person that they can do it? And it seemed like all these things just started lining up, even just like tonight. When Andrew approached me about this, I couldn't believe it, because it was just like, God's using you. God's using you because you're giving him the glory. You're not thinking about yourself anymore, or what's going to be on your feet. Who you can influence. And I still just can't believe that I'm in front of you guys tonight, because it's not about me anymore. So then more opportunities come. The New Era event that we did down on Main Street caught the attention of 3CDC. And they offered me a space right across from the Mercer Garage on Vine Street. And this March, we opened this door, and I couldn't even believe it, because it was never my goal to set out and open, 2 doors. It was just one. But this fell into my lap almost, and I had to take it. They paid for the build out. They created the space for us. They broke down a space that was originally supposed to be for 3, or it was supposed to be 1 big space, but they broke it down into 3 businesses and gave me one of those opportunities to have our second location there. And I just still can't believe it. I still can't believe that all this has happened.
Gotcha.
Great, great. So, for everything that I went through, I wouldn't change anything in the world, but I will tell you this, do it faster than me. You know, seriously, bring him in your life and allow him to use you, because, man, all these opportunities wouldn't have happened had I just kept going at the pace that I was going at. And that's where I'll leave you guys today, and I hope you guys enjoy it.